Hi, I'm Nevin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Reserve. And people sometimes ask us, why did we decide to start in Venezuela? Why focus on Venezuela or Argentina, of all places? A couple weeks ago, one of our investors mentioned, if we're trying to create a neobank and we're focused on Latin America, the normal thing to do would be to start with the biggest markets, maybe Brazil or Mexico, and then branch out from there. And so I wanted to try to answer this question. The answer is that Reserve as a project, as a technology and as a project, the way we've designed what we're doing, is built from square one to provide financial services to citizens in places where the normal conditions don't exist, where you can't easily provide normal financial services that people in most developed countries are really used to at this point. And so the entire purpose of what it is we're doing is not just to create another neobank or another simple fintech application. It's really to produce this suite of technologies and this network of people to support the usage of those technologies that bring access of those normal services of saving and spending and all the things you can build on top of that to parts of the world that are undergoing hyperinflation, that have to deal with capital controls, oftentimes unjust capital controls, or that are suffering from a problem that many people in Venezuela will be familiar with, which is the international community deciding from a compliance perspective that your jurisdiction is simply too high risk to be worth serving. And so we set out from day one with the idea of, what if we could create a technological and legal approach so that we could, we're a US company, we have to operate entirely within the US legal system and do everything in full US legal compliance. What if there was a way to be fully compliant with US law and then produce something that legally and technologically was able to provide all of those services under all of those different possible circumstances of duress? And so we decided to start by focusing on Venezuela because it's clearly the part of the world that is the furthest down that path right now, that's really in the most need, we think. There are other parts of the world that really have a lot of need as well, and we're working on focusing on those too, but Venezuela was the natural place to start because that's simply what we're trying to do. That's what the project is about. And one more thing I'll say is that starting the project from the US, I knew from the beginning that a lot of the US team members that we've recruited, like me, they're very, very excited to solve these problems. They joined because they're interested in solving these problems. But it's something where we didn't live it all our lives, right? We come from a part of the world where sort of financial stability and financial services can be taken for granted. And so it sort of makes sense that building a team of people who are from parts of the world that have experienced these problems firsthand and who have all of the skills necessary is something that that's the route that's going to mean that the project really deeply understands what's going on and what it's trying to solve. So at this point, even though it's not the case that they're necessarily in Venezuela, about half of our team is Venezuelan, and we intend to continue recruiting from the parts of the world that really have to deal with the monetary problems that Reserve exists to solve. And if you think about it, by recruiting from the parts of the world where people really deeply understand it, it's actually a way of recruiting more effective talent to the project, right? Because we can recruit people from a place like Venezuela who maybe would be harder to recruit someone of that skill level from a place like the US because it's such an important problem in a place like Venezuela. And so it's something that, if you're looking for entrepreneurial people who want to work on the most important problems, you sort of have to go to where the problem is the most real in order to get that top talent. And so we're really excited about the Venezuelan team members that have joined the Reserve project and the skills and passion that they bring. So I hope this explains a bit about why we're focused on Venezuela and Argentina and are sort of broadening our horizons, looking at Latin America. and why, as a project, we're not following the sort of standard neobank model.